All right. Well, I want to say, as always, thanks to our fans, thanks to the brigade. It was a beautiful day and a great turnout. Navy Marine Corps Memorial was in full blossom today, and that was a fun atmosphere, a great thing to be a part of. Hats off to Air Force. Have a ton of respect for Coach Calhoun, his staff, and those players. Those guys are signed up to do the same thing our guys are doing, and just a ton of respect for them and the way that they fought and clawed. Being a 1-3 team coming in here, and you wouldn't have known it because that's a pretty good football team right there. Excited to get the win. I'm really proud of our players. I told them that we're going to win the game. We can win it a couple different ways. We can make it difficult, right, with penalties, with turnovers, missed assignments, and overcome it and find a way to win. Or we can play a clean game and it doesn't have to be close. But that wasn't the case today. It was at times played really, really well. Obviously, we struggled defensively to get stops tonight, and that's credit to their offense. We knew going into the game that they scored a lot of points and put a lot of yards up. And once they landed on the quarterback, he's a really good player, and he makes things go for them. And they're good, and they're tough to stop. But what I was proud of is had our backs against the wall, but got a stop when we needed it. Jackson Campbell, a great play, knocking down the pitch. That was a good call by Coach Volker. And then Landon Robinson, catching the thing in the air. It was a huge stop for us. And then to go down offensively and get the first downs that we needed when they were in full aggression mode there at the end. Big time call by Coach Cronick on the play action pass. We had a discussion about it. It was either run it or throw it. And I'll let him make the decision because he made pretty good ones all day long. So I left that in his hands, but it was a great call and a big time catch by Jackson and throw by Blake. And I thought Blake was tremendous today. Eli Heidenreich played out of his mind. He's a special player. I think he set a bunch of records today. And man, I thought we offensively did some really, really good things today outside of the penalties, outside of the one turnover. They called a really aggressive game plan on defense, took some things away with what they were doing. I thought we adjusted well to some of those things and took advantage of the things that we needed to take advantage of. But really proud of our guys. I think it says a lot about the character of this football team, to win a game like that. And they're tough, they're resilient. They expect to win. They believe they're going to win, and so they find ways to win. And so I think that's a corner we've turned, and I'm proud of that. So. Proud of our guys. Great to get a win. Again, hats off to Air Force. Couldn't have more respect for those guys. So I guess we'll open up to questions.
Ryan, can you kind of take us through the sequence before Jackson makes that deflection on the pitch and kind of what the conversation was and kind of maybe what you saw?
Yeah, well, we had it 4th and 1 down there. False started, So I had to settle for a field goal right there. Unfortunately, loved to have gotten that first down and gone and punched it in, but didn't want to kick a field goal right there. The way we've been playing on defense, hadn't got a stop yet in the half, but had to settle for the field goal right there. And then, they moved the ball down the field a little bit, had some chances to get off the field. I don't know how many 3rd and longs they converted today, but in an academy game, and you get people in 3rd and long, you have to get off the field, and we did a really poor job of that today. And I thought our eyes were dirty for a big part of the game in our back end, our secondary, and we've got some guys, first academy game for Giuseppe Sessi, Seth English, first academy game for Philip Hamilton and Justin Ross. And so, they made some mistakes, didn't play great in the back end. So we knew we had to get a stop. We made an aggressive call there in that situation with 3rd and 3, I believe it was, 0 blitz. And made something happen, and then to get the ball there offensively and know what we had to get done. They had all their timeouts, obviously, so we had to get some first downs there, and we were able to successfully do that. That was huge to end the game right there.
It's almost like you run out of superlatives to talk about Blake, but to be the all-time single-game leader in total offense in Navy history, that's ahead of some incredible players. Just what can you say about that guy?
Yeah, can't say enough good things. He's special, and he makes us go. And just obviously a phenomenal young man, but special player. I'm glad he's on our side, But no, I can't say enough good things about him. And he's just, he never flinches, he never panics, he never presses. Just goes and plays. He's calm, cool, and collected, and just a special talent. He's a winner. He's a winner, and that permeates onto the rest of our team. So.
And what about Eli? He set a school record for pass receiving yards. He's tied the school record for touchdown receptions in the game. He now holds the career record for touchdown receptions. But, I mean, everybody on the other side knows you're trying to get the ball to him, yet he still gets open and makes huge plays.
Yeah. Well, they kept getting one-on-one coverage, which, you know, we took advantage of it. And, yeah, he's another special player. You know, he's a guy that could line up at wide receiver or slot or running back or wildcat quarterback, and just a phenomenal football player. And, you know, when we target him, I think it was 8 targets for 8 catches, right? When we put the ball in his hands, good things tend to happen. So I wish I had known about the records and stuff in the locker room. Would have celebrated that. And might try to find a game ball to give him, but that's good stuff, man. But those two, the combination of those two is pretty deadly.
It was just a few years ago when both teams were running option and banging their heads against neither team could move the ball or score points. You know, we're talking about 17-6 games, and now all of a sudden it's a wild shootout that both teams are throwing the ball all over the yard. Can you talk about what a change this is for Air Force, Navy?
Yeah, I think, you know, the times have forced us to evolve a little bit. You can see that they've certainly changed their offense as well, and you never thought you'd see a day when there were almost 600 yards passing in an academy game, right? Pretty wild. But I thought both teams, you know, the offensive plan on both sides is really good, and it's 2 really good offenses, you know. So glad we had the ball last. So.
To be 5-0, obviously great. Just kind of what's the mentality right now? Obviously, don't want to get too high, too low. Right?
Yeah.
Kind of what's the thought process going forward?
I think it's a very humble 5-0 group. I think there's so much room for improvement. You know, I've expressed some frustration after wins, you know, in the course of this year, and there's certain frustrations about the way we played today, you know, in certain phases. And so our guys know and understand that we've got to get better and we've got to clean some things up, because if we don't, it's going to cost us in a tight game like this at some point. And when we play really good football teams, we don't have to be perfect, right? But we got to be dang near close, you know. So the penalties, the pre-snap penalties, I mean, those are killers. You know, they're drive killers. You know, 2 pass interference calls. You know, they're the things that we have to do a better job of and have to clean up, and that's on me. And I've got to get it corrected. Got to figure out the best way to do that, because we tried a lot of different things. So, you know, and we've taken care of the football well for the most part, outside of, you know, one game. But we were even in the turnover deal today. We need to be in the plus category. You know, we're not getting enough takeaways on defense, and we've got to find ways to do that. But there's so much room for improvement, you know, and our guys know that. So it's good. It's good to be 5-0 and feel like that, right? Because we got a ways to go. We're still a work in progress in a lot of different ways. And so told the guys we'll celebrate. Listen for 24 hours. They deserve it. I'm super proud of them. You know, wins are hard to come by. And, you know, we celebrate those in the locker room, there's no doubt. So let them celebrate, enjoy this one, and then Monday we'll get back, get ready for another conference game.
Can you talk about taking the first step toward retaining the Commander-in-Chief's trophy? And I was curious, did you have it brought to the locker room for this game?
No, didn't bring it in the locker room. I want our guys focused on Air Force and not thinking about too much in the future. But we had it out at practice this week on their way out to the practice fields, just as a reminder of the hard work that it took to get it back here, right, and the pride and the joy that you have when you keep it here. And so, you know, for us, the CIC goes through Annapolis. But yeah, I got off track in your question there, Wags.
Well, just what you took the first step to.
Yeah, no, it's huge. It's huge, and you know, historically, when we've won that game in the first round, good things tend to happen, and so it's all of our goals are set out in front of us, and so that's you know, obviously the number one tangible goal in our program is to win that trophy, or to keep it here, and so ecstatic to get the win. Ecstatic to get the win. And if I seem disappointed, I'm not. I'm really not. Our kids are fighters. I love this team. I love the way they work. Love the way they show up. They're a humble group. They're a consistent group. We just gotta do some things better, and they know it, and we will. And they'll work their tails off. They'll show up Monday and practice the same way they did the previous Monday. I know that, and we'll keep getting better.
Brian, is there an acknowledgement that much like last season, the schedule really ratchets up in the back half?
Sure. You know, we talked about this, you know, kind of 3 phases to our season. We're kind of in that middle phase right now. You know, before you go into your next bye, and then obviously the schedule in November That's the meteor schedule, and all those games in November are important. We just have to have some really good opponents on the schedule, and so we're going to have to, like I mentioned, we're going to have to continue to get incrementally better, as we get into that part of the season. But for now, it's how much better can we get, in a week's time to get ready to go play an improved, tough Temple team. Yes, sir.
Hey, Coach, congratulations on the win today. If you don't mind, I'd like to ask you a big picture question I was able to ask Coach Calhoun this summer. As a 22-year retired Navy chief, I wanted to ask you, what's it like leading these young men who are, 9 months from now, your seniors are going to be leading sailors and Marines all over the world in conflicts and, do all kinds of things. What's it like to lead this group of young men? And do you feel an extra level of responsibility, due to that?
Absolutely, I do. It's surreal at times. It's an honor and a privilege. Getting the coaching to make an impact and to make a difference, and to be able to do it here with these guys, special young men. And we've got tremendous staff that pours into these guys, loves these guys, and so much respect for them. As a coach, you're supposed to be the one that inspires your players. But I tell you, I speak for our staff and myself. These guys inspire us on a daily basis. They're fun to coach, and so it's a great responsibility that we have, and we take a lot of pride in treating these guys the right way and giving them the best opportunity to win on the field. But no, it's an absolute honor and privilege.
Can you talk about Zarka? I mean, the kid's a sophomore.
Yeah.
He comes into hostile territory and he balled out. I mean, probably don't want to face him 2 more years.
Yeah, I know. I thought he's been outstanding the last 2 games. I thought he was really good today. I mean, he's a good football player. Ton of respect for him. It's his first academy game, and you expect a guy like that to come in with some nerves, and he didn't seem to have them, And a ton of respect for him and the way he played today, and gave him a chance to win the game, So, and what they do offensively is good. They're starting to evolve a little bit. You see them doing some things that are similar to us, while they're still doing some of the same old concepts that they've always had success with, and the combination of that is hard to defend, and we struggled to defend them a little bit today. So, hats off to them, like I said earlier, and he's a really good player.
Well, and lastly, I don't think we should overlook Nathan Kirkwood. In the end, he did provide the winning points. He had 2 clutch field goals. Can you talk about, I know we don't credit the kicker very much, but in this case, he deserves some, right? Yeah, no doubt. No, he punched him in, and I'm proud of him. And, I've said it many times. I think he's a very much improved kicker from where he was a year ago. We believe in him. He's been a lot more consistent. I thought about kicking the field goal there in the first half when we took the delay and ended up punting it. We pinned him down there, but we ended up getting out of that. But I got a lot of confidence in Nate right now.
Any other questions for Coach? Air Force, the average third down distance was 3rd and 6 was our average third down distance. 7 for 13. They were 1 of 2 third and long, 3 of 5 third and short, and doing the math, 3 of 6 on 3rd and medium.
Yeah, I know there was at least 3 third and longs where they converted. We got it to a 4th and manageable.
Yeah, that's the key.
Right, that's where you got to prevent.
So that doesn't count in stats,
Yeah.
but yes, you're right.
If you get a stop on 3rd and 9, but it's 4th and 1, they convert. All right, that's not a successful stop there, So, all right, thanks, guys.
Questions for the guys?
Yeah, Jackson, Landon, for you guys, can you kind of take us through the sequence where Jackson, you deflect the pitch, and Landon, you land on there, just kind of what you saw in there and how that unfolded?
Defense just needed to get a stop. I was able to look at my visual key and cage path, deflect the ball, and then a lead eat takes over. We fly around to the ball, and it's really rewarding when you do that because then you get a fumble recovery like Landon.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I was, playing my, the play that we were playing, and I got off the block, and I see the ball get tipped up in the air, and I was like, maybe I can grab it, and, I just kept running and put my arms out, and I'm pretty sure I caught it in the air, so I don't know, but, I went like here, and then, just tucked it away, so, yeah, it was awesome, seeing the ball up in the air and finally get that takeaway we needed, so.
Well, can you talk about how critical that defensive stop was? Because it had been a back and forth touchdown, and then Navy had to settle for a field goal, and they have a chance to take the lead, and they got into your territory. Can you talk about how critical that was at that point in the game?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it was incredibly, critical in the game, and I'm just glad that we were able to, Jackson was able to do what he does, and we were able to get the ball. So, turnovers and takeaways are very important, and we were able to get one in that moment. So.
Can you talk, Luke, maybe about how frustrating it was that you weren't able to get any stops? I mean, I think up to that point they had scored on every possession. in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great offense over there. They're doing a lot of tough things schematically, and I mean, we were battling all day, but when it mattered most, we got a big time stop. So I mean, you gotta anchor down. We'll get to practice and we'll fix stuff up, but you got to give credit to them. They're a great offense.
When Coach Newberry just said he thought you had dirty eyes a little too much today, I mean, was that the problem with the big plays, the explosive plays?
Yeah, kind of like Luke just said, they're a great offense, and they played very well, especially their sophomore quarterback. So yeah, sometimes when you have offensive schemes like that, it's hard to keep your eyes on your key. But I think toward the end we were able to fix that problem, and we were able to get it done. So.
What does Landon mean to the seniors, the upperclassmen, to get the first leg of the CIC? Obviously, a huge part of what your goals are.
Absolutely, yes, sir. It's a huge part of our goals every single season is to get the CIC, obviously, and just we knew going into this game that'd be a good game, and they were going to give it all that they have. So yeah, it definitely came down to the wire, but so glad that we were able to get it done for the seniors and for our goals as a team going forward. So.
Any other questions for the defensive guys? Right there.
Well, congratulations, gentlemen, on the win today in this awesome CIC game. I want to ask you kind of different question than just a game question. Can you just tell us what you guys are planning on doing in the Navy and the Marine Corps after you graduate from the academy?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we just put in our preferences for our service selection, I believe, like a little under 2 weeks ago. So I put Marine Ground as my first choice. So hopefully I can get that and go Marine Ground. So
I'm going Marine Air. Hoorah.
I want to go Navy pilot. So
it is. So,
Any other questions for the defense? All right, thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
9 passings, the fourth most in school history and the most since Jim Kubiak had 361 against Army in 1993. Questions for the offense?
Blake, I know you don't like talking about yourself too much, but you just set the single game record at Navy for total yards of offense. You're ahead of guys like Keenan Reynolds and, Ricky Dobbs, just some great players, Malcolm Perry, et cetera, et cetera.
All great.
Talk about yourself for a little bit.
It's probably gonna make you mad, but it wasn't like, it's not me. I'm throwing wide open to Eli Heidenreich, wide open to Eli Heidenreich, wide open to Eli Heidenreich. So, right, all those yards are coming from him, and then just a lot of guys making a lot of plays today, all over the place. And our offensive line, they got a good defensive line, right? That's for sure. As a Droik, he's a beast, but. I thought it was just the blocking, the ability to get open. We knew that was a weakness. I'll just straight up say it. Their secondary was a weakness, and we knew that we could exploit it, especially with one of the best athletes in the American Conference in college football, at Eli Heidenreich. So there wasn't many times where I wasn't looking his way, truthfully. So it was sort of like I don't know. I didn't feel like I earned all those yards because it was just him running all the way.
Okay, I'll ask you, when you see Blake do something like that in a game, just what can you say about that kind of performance?
Yeah, I mean, he gave me a lot of compliments, but truth be told, he just puts it where it needs to be, and he does the fundamentals right. A lot of the time, you see a receiver running downfield, and he has a step or two. That's not an easy throw. That's something that we practiced a lot over the off season, and throughout the summer, and it's nice to see it come to fruition here today, and we were able to go out and kind of display that today.
Well, you set your own single-game school record for receiving yards. Can you talk about what you did? I mean, you consistently got wide open, as Blake said.
Yeah, I think it really starts with Coach Cronick and the guys on offense kind of scheming up. We call him an evil scientist sometimes, especially the defense. They like to call him like a evil offensive scientist, which it's a funny term, but he's thinking about stuff and finding ways for me to get open, and a lot of the time makes it really easy for me. So I think it really starts there, and then the big guys up front giving him time to protect. That can't get overlooked. It's super important.
Are you surprised that you keep getting one-on-one coverage when you keep beating people deep?
Yeah, you'd think they'd start to bracket towards at least the second half of the game. I understand it seemed like they were kind of playing a little more aggressive, trying to stop the run first, and you'd anticipate it, but pretty thankful that they didn't. It made it pretty easy on my end.
Blake, can you talk about the fact that you couldn't miss a turn in this game? I mean, it was a lot of pressure. You punt, you're probably falling behind on the scoreboard. I mean, this was a crazy, wild back and forth game.
Yeah, it's definitely, how it felt, right? It's tough to respond at times, right, in those type of games, right, to feel the pressure. I think the biggest thing for us, right, is I don't think we've really felt that pressure this season, especially like in Tulsa and then in this game, right, is just chipping away. We know the defense is going to do their jobs and help us out. And so just doing ourselves, right, when turnovers occur, it's not like this game's ruined. It's like that drive was ruined, but we know we can do the rest of the game. And so I think it was a whole team effort for all that.
Blake, you said during the week that the only team that could stop this offense was you guys. Was today an example of that? Because if you take away the turnover and the penalties, you might still be scored.
For sure. I think that they had a good plan. Air Force did in the run game, but I think just overall it was those mistakes by me on the run, and then just little turnovers and stuff. Just being on the same page with the offensive line or on the penalty. Sorry. But I truthfully believe that we're a really good offense, and the only people that can stop us are ourselves.
Well, Nathan, you didn't know it at the time, but it's a game-winning kick. But you do know it's a lot of pressure because the game's winding down, and Coach probably hoped that they could convert, but it comes down to you. Can you talk about just having some poise?
Yeah, absolutely. So I just praise God for the opportunity first and foremost. It's just the same thing you do in practice every day, right? And I trust the guys, like they've been saying all day. The big guys up front, Rain's the snapper, Jacob the holder. The situation on the sideline can get a little tense, but once you get on the field, it's just what you do every single day. And appreciate the heck out of those guys. And I mean, my foot might hit the ball, but those guys are really what are getting the job done. So I appreciate them, and I knew once we go out, we're going to do our job.
Blake, can you talk about taking the first step to retaining that trophy?
It's huge, and especially looking at the stats. I had known this coming to this game, but the away team always really has success in these games, especially versus Air Force. Obviously, Army's at a neutral site, but it's just you come in with a different sense of urgency as the away team, especially in these games, and they definitely did that. But I think it's huge to get this first leg of the CIC right, and then put the pressure on the other guys to keep up. So. Yeah.
Blake, along those lines, last year you guys snapped a 4-game losing streak to the Falcons. This year you guys win consecutive games in the series for the first time since, I think, 2013. How huge is that for you guys on a micro and a macro level?
Yeah, I think it's huge, right, to get that done and just establish ourselves, right? It's not a one-and-done deal. It's not a fluke that it happened last year, right? It's not a spark for one season, right? It's a train that's going to keep on rolling. And, it's how we hope to establish, for the future of CIC games as well. So.
Question for all three of you guys. It happens every so often in an offensive extravaganza like this where the big plays on the defensive side of the ball. How pumped were you guys on the sidelines when you saw the lost pitch and the fumble recovery and saw your teammates get this ball for you guys?
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, we just started hugging each other, and it was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty simple. I think the Midshipmen erupted. Like, you could feel like them jumping up and down, like the place was shaking, and it's pretty cool to see how much they care about these games too. Like they are forced to be here, but I would say that most of them want to be at these ones. So it's cool to deliver a win to those guys watching as well.
Yeah, awesome. It was awesome. I jumped off. I was on the stationary bike. I jumped off that thing as fast as I could celebrate.
Any other questions for the offense? All right, thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, guys.